I'm just protecting Ava. You don't get to control this anymore.
I think I didn't do anything wrong, just acted on what I believed my daughter told me. But the moment Callum hit the pavement and the police arrived, I realized my actions had crossed a line. Weeks later, legal documents landed at my door, showing just how far my recklessness could reach. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. I think I didn't do anything wrong, just trusted what Ava told me about her dad. I'm Maris, 31, and until that day I thought Callum and I had a normal, loving marriage. He was steady, dependable, always making sure our daughter felt safe and happy. But when Ava came to me with her story, I felt a surge of anger and fear. I believed her completely, convinced that Callum had done something to betray us. That afternoon, I drove us around, my mind racing with what I thought was proof of his wrongdoing. Callum tried to reason with me, asking calmly to slow down, to talk it through. I laughed it off, told myself he was overreacting, that I was just protecting our family. The thrill of taking control, of acting on what I believed, made my heart pound. Ava sat quietly in the back seat, innocent and oblivious, while I justified every action to myself. Callum's calm, careful demeanor only fueled my frustration. I framed him as cold and unfeeling in my head. Every turn of the wheel, every glance at him, reinforced my sense of righteousness. By the time we hit the main road, I felt unstoppable, convinced I was right, and utterly blind to the danger that my impulsiveness was creating for all of us. The tension in the car grew as we drove, Ava quietly watching the exchange between us. I felt a rush of power, believing I was acting to protect her from Callum's supposed betrayal. Every time he tried to speak calmly, I interrupted in my mind, dismissing his words as excuses. I told myself he was manipulative, that I had to act before he could twist the story back on me. At one stoplight, he tried to reason again, suggesting we slow down and talk before doing anything rash. I shook my head, framing his caution as weakness, imagining how my friends would cheer me on for standing up to his controlling ways. The sense of thrill made my pulse race. I was clever, fearless, in control of the situation. Ava looked between us, her small face innocent, but I convinced myself she needed me to act decisively. Each glance at Callum's tense face fueled my certainty. I felt justified, righteous even, as I planned my next move. By the time we pulled onto a quieter stretch of road, my mind was set. I would force the confrontation I believed was necessary. I didn't notice the danger, didn't care that every second could escalate. I was blind with certainty, convinced I was the hero of my own story, and that Callum's calm restraint was only proof of his villainy. By the time we reached the empty stretch of road, the tension in the car was unbearable. Callum tried one last time to reason with me, asking calmly to stop, to talk, to think of Ava. I ignored him, framing his words as manipulation, proof that he didn't want me to act. Every part of me felt justified, righteous, convinced I was protecting our daughter from someone who had betrayed her trust. Ava sat silently in the back, innocent and unaware, while I gripped the wheel tighter. My heart raced, a mix of fear and exhilaration, as I imagined my friends applauding my courage, my decisiveness. Callum's calm face only fueled my sense of triumph. I saw it as weakness, as proof he couldn't handle the truth. The moment came, and I acted. I forced him out of the vehicle, convinced it was the only way to prove I was right. He landed on the pavement, stunned and shaken, and I felt a brief surge of power. But as I watched him rise, the weight of what I had done began to sink in. The thrill faded, replaced by a creeping realization that I had gone too far. The danger, the consequences, they were real, and I could feel the walls of control I had thought I held slipping away with every passing second. Callum stood on the pavement, shaking but unharmed, while I sat in the car, my hand still gripping the wheel. I told myself I had done the right thing, that I had acted to protect Ava, but the silence around us felt heavy, accusing. I tried to justify my actions to myself, claiming he had been manipulative, that I had no choice. The sound of sirens in the distance made my stomach twist. Police were coming. I felt a flicker of panic, but quickly pushed it aside, framing it in my mind as a misunderstanding. Ava looked up at me, her wide eyes innocent, and I forced a smile, pretending everything was fine. I blamed Callum in my head, convinced he had brought this on by being too rigid, too controlling. As the officers arrived, I repeated my story calmly, portraying myself as the reasonable parent protecting my child. Callum remained composed, answering questions clearly, letting the truth speak for itself. I felt the first real pangs of fear as I realized my impulsive actions had consequences far beyond my control. The thrill of being in charge, of taking decisive action, was fading, replaced by a growing awareness that my recklessness had set a chain of events I could not undo. The next day, the house felt cold and empty. Callum hadn't returned, and every call and message I sent went unanswered. I tried reaching his parents, but their careful, concerned responses made it clear they were already on his side. I told myself he was overreacting, that he would come back once the police situation settled. But the silence gnawed at me, heavier with every passing hour, until the knock at the door made my heart stop. A courier handed me thick envelopes, and as I opened them, dread coiled in my stomach. Legal documents, custody arrangements, financial protections, formal notices detailing the consequences of my actions. Every impulsive choice, every reckless decision, every act I had justified as protecting Ava had been anticipated. Callum had prepared for it all calmly, methodically, before I even realized the danger I was in. Sitting on the floor, staring at the papers, my sense of control evaporated. The thrill I had felt moments before, the cleverness and righteousness, now seemed hollow and dangerous. He had drawn a line, executed a plan, and I was left facing the full weight of the consequences I had ignored for so long. Fear, panic, and disbelief collided, and I understood that no charm, no excuse, could undo what I had set in motion. Weeks passed, and Callum moved with quiet precision. He handled everything calmly. Custody arrangements secured, finances protected, and routines restored for Ava. I tried calling, texting, even posting playful messages online, but he ignored every attempt. Each unanswered message reminded me how completely he had taken control, turning my impulsive recklessness into a lesson I could not escape. I watched him with Ava, gentle, attentive, composed. He hadn't shouted, hadn't overreacted. He had acted within the law, protecting what mattered most. Friends began noticing the shift. Some quietly admired his calm authority. Others stopped siding with me. I was left isolated, my social support crumbling as the reality of my actions set in. Sitting alone in the empty house, staring at my phone and the quiet rooms around me, I felt the full weight of what I had done. Callum had restored his dignity, executed his plan perfectly, and left me facing the irreversible consequences of my impulsiveness. The thrill, the sense of righteousness, the cleverness I had felt, they were gone. I was powerless, finally realizing that my reckless decisions had destroyed trust, fractured our family, and left me entirely alone with the results of my own making. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.